Mob versus Tatsumaki. Alright, so before anyone asks, no, I don't really care for this matchup. At the same time, I really like Shigeru Kageyama, whom I'm just going to call Mob for this video, and I do like Tatsumaki, who I will not be calling Tornado of Terror for this video. Now let's get this out of the way, because I know someone's going to bring it up. One did not state who would win between them. I don't expect you to know how to read this, don't worry, I have no fucking clue what it says here either. Well, I can't read it, I know what it says. But what is stated, according to translations, is that Tatsumaki could beat the ass out of normal Mob, that being Mob normally. However, he also stated there's no answer if it was Tatsumaki versus serious Mob. Whether that's Mob 100% or Mob triple question mark, I don't know. But he's pretty much saying that it's too close to call between them. Also on Justice as well, the meteor feat from the anime is considered non-canon. By that I mean it was stated this was the result of miscommunication. According to Murata, Tatsumaki can't pull a meteor from space because if she could do that, she could have just brought down Boris' ship. That's not to say she has the power to destroy it. That's not to say that it's equal. She could just bring it down to the ground. So, Murata told us what was supposed to happen was Tatsumaki would just... Yes, Tatsumaki would become a dog. Murata told us what was supposed to happen was that Tatsumaki would drop a big boulder on the ancient king that would give him a PTSD flashback and leave him screaming in fear. We don't know how the scene would have ended, just that it would have had him screaming. It probably would have had him comically curled up in a ball. Now, despite how little I care about this battle, I will admit, it's actually fairly close, more than I originally thought, because I've not seen as much of Mob Psycho as I have of One Punch Man. I had to do a bit of research, because, I mean, I do that for every prediction. I do a bit of research. That's how predictions go. I'm sure everyone who does predictions does a bit of research, unless they know the characters well enough. Like, if they did Optimus Prime versus Godzilla, I could tell you who'd win without needing to do research.
Spoiler alert, the strongest Optimus Prime is a 10-dimensional alternity, while the strongest Godzilla is like star level, maybe solar system level, the Marvel one. He's strong enough to take on Thor, but Thor is not as powerful as a 10-dimensional entity.
Well, I mean, sometimes he is, but that's... Odin Force Thor is not who Godzilla fought, okay? So let's start with raw power, and Tatsumaki, because there's only really one feat of value with Tatsumaki, the scene of her sending the missiles of Boris' ship back up to the vessel with 372.62 gigatons of TNT. This being more than enough raw power to wipe City A fired straight on her face. That's a lot of power. Now, how strong is Mob? Well, Mob has shown that he can shake Spy City with around 651.73 megatons, or about 0.65 gigatons. Ooh. He also scales, being stronger than Teruki Hanazawa, who can output roughly 0.64 tons of TNT, his brother Ritsu, who should be within at least a similar region of power, and Toishiro, who can output 22 kilotons of TNT. So as we can see here, Tatsumaki is a lot more powerful than Mob in raw power. So point the Tatsumaki there. However, I want to say that for some reason Versus Wiki states that Mob is island level, not just because of the Tatsumaki scaling. I will grant them that. Scale to Tatsumaki, he is island level. That is an island level feat that Tatsumaki pulled off. However, it also cites other examples of island level feats from Mob, such as when he lifted the school into the clouds, which is not an island level feat. I'm pretty sure it's like city level, maybe city at best, maybe even mountain, still less than island. Also, he made giant tornadoes, which have been calced on the very site to be city block level. And finally, the earthquake feat I mentioned, which is linked here, which is stated in megatons that I calculated into gigatons with an online calculator, and it even says he's island level for beating a bunch of characters who are at best town level. What's the island level minimum again versus Wiki? 4.3 gigatons? Then how does 0.65 gigatons equate to island level? See, this is why you shouldn't take Versus Wiki at face value. You have to always double check the shit they say, because sometimes it's stupid. And if you think, wait, but Tatsumaki's feat here is an outlier. One said Tatsumaki and Mob are equal. Well, here's Goketsu. Goketsu's Cloud Punch feat has been calculated 6,931.2 megatons. That's more than 10 times Mob's feat. Why is that important? Here's Golden Sperm, whom Murata has stated to rival Orochi in power. Murata kind of being like a voice that one speaks through sometimes. Murata knows a lot of what's going on. Now, Orochi is Goketsu's boss, and one has stated that Tatsumaki at her best could beat Golden Sperm. So, both through calculations and statements, she is still 10 times stronger than Mob. Now granted, I don't know if Mob's feat is from 100% or percent Mob, but the scan that shows it won't fucking load on my computer. So I can't tell if it was question mark or 100%. So I'm going to be fair and say that it was 100% Mob. So that would mean, at minimum, you would have to say that percent Mob is over 10 times stronger than normal, and at maximum over 500 times stronger than his 100% form, to be able to match Tatsumaki's power. And that 10 times stronger thing is also making the assumption that Tatsumaki is only equal to Goketsu, who she is definitely significantly more powerful than. So whatever you say, Tatsumaki, she's a lot more powerful. However, I will admit, power output is not everything in this fight. Both of them easily have enough power to squash each other's body, because they have to activate their defenses, otherwise they're pretty much just average people. We don't know necessarily if they are, but from what I can tell, they look to just be average people without their shields. And Mob's shield is, admittedly, Mob's shield is pretty instantaneous, so really, and even if it wasn't, Tatsumaki's still strong enough to easily squash him with the shield. So really, when it comes to speed, it's less who can kill the other quicker, and more can Mob kill Tatsumaki before she kills him. As such, that really is the most important question, isn't it? Because if one can move so much faster than the other, like if Mob can move faster than Tatsumaki can make a shield, he wins. Oh, and in case you're wondering, base Mob can still output over 177 billion joules, so Mob would easily kill her, and he doesn't have his morality in this fight because of Death Battle's rules, even though taking away Mob's morality and character is kind of one of the most important parts. It's dumb, given who Mob is, but if Mob can move faster than Tatsumaki, he has a higher chance of squashing her into a green paste before she can protect herself. Now, Mob is capable of perceiving people moving faster than average people can see. He can blitz 2 Espers at once from 20 kilometers away, react to the motion of someone faster than lightning, and attack so fast that Toichiro couldn't see it coming. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, it's been a while since I watched the anime. That lightning feat, by the way, puts Mob at around 1,400,000 meters per second, or around Mach 4081. However, that was 40% of Toichiro's power. At 80%, he was able to attack faster than Mob. He was blitzing Mob, meaning he was moving a lot faster than Mach 4081. I don't necessarily feel confident saying that 80% equals 40% times 2, because 40% was creating a lightning bolt, and while Mob is faster than the lightning bolt, and able to match Toichiro, I can't confidently say that Toichiro is twice as fast as that Mob feat, but you don't need to be twice as fast as someone to blitz them. And after that, Mob was able to actually attack faster than Toichiro could see. He was barely able to block Mob's attack. So if Mob could easily move at Mach 4081, and then Toichiro blitzed him, but then Mob blitzed him back, that's a lot of speed. I can't quite put a number on it. I think it's, given that 2 layers of blitzing people happened, I'm confident in saying he was around Mach 8000, between 7 and 8000, okay? Tatsumaki, meanwhile, could react to the Mach 2057 bullets fired from Boris's ship. So it does seem Mob wins in terms of speed. However, if we scale her to Ian, which is a weird name, he has been calculated to be able to slice at Mach 7002. And on the lower end, scaling to Atomic Samurai puts her at Mach 5508. Not to say Samurai's slower than Ian, he's obviously faster, it's just Ian's feat's more impressive than Samurai's. Samurai obviously scales higher than Ian. So we have an issue. If we use pure feats, Mob is way faster, but if we use scaling, it gets a bit more muddy, because Mob is likely more than twice as fast than that previous Mach 4081, while Tatsumaki at best scales to Mach 7002. However, I'm going to be generous. I'm confident in giving this stat to Mob. So Tatsumaki is way stronger, but Mob is way faster. However, we know Death Battle, they're not going to end it that quick. If Mob doesn't immediately blitz her, who wins? Because once Tatsumaki gets her barrier up, Mob is going to have a really bad time trying to break through it, seeing as her barrier is from the same source of power as her attack. Well, the good thing for Mob is that Tatsumaki isn't the most varied fighter. She can fly and manipulate your chi that doesn't work on strong-willed people, so it probably would work on Mob until Mob goes 100% or percent, and her barriers stay active when she's unconscious, such as that time she was unconscious and a bunch of dragon-level monsters, like Goketsu, he was dragon, you remember his power output, couldn't beat her to death. Not to say the ones that were beating on her were as strong as Goketsu, I'm just saying he's around the power, he's a dragon level. So Tatsumaki can fly, big deal, Mob can too. She can manipulate chi, big deal, Mob was able to take people fucking with his chi in the past, and not a problem. However, then comes her Psychic Whirlwind and Psychic Binding. With these powers, she can deflect psychic attacks, and with Psychic Binding, she can suppress the power of another Esper, like Mob. An example of how strong Psychic Whirlwind is comes from Fubuki, actually. Hellish Blizzard, whatever you want to call it. the psychic sister with the big tits. She could use it to hold her own against Psychos, who is strong enough to stop Bang from moving. And Bang is way stronger than Fubuki. In fact, I think if Fubuki tried to hold Bang in place, he'd just force his way through her Esper powers. Fubuki also claims that an Esper inside the whirlwind would lose their powers, but Tatsumaki was apparently fine, so I'm sure Mob would be fine too. As for Psychic Binding, Fubuki could hold Tatsumaki for 10 seconds with it, which might not sound impressive, but there are orders of magnitude between Fubuki and Tatsumaki's power level. Literally orders of magnitude. I have no qualms in saying she'd be able to hold and suppress Mob with her powers. Then again, Mob has his own advantages, as in one really big one. And no, I do not mean chlorokinesis. He's not going to beat her with broccoli. Then again, he probably could recreate her hair with a broccoli and kill her through embarrassment. Actually, I'm just going to say it. If the death battle does not start because Tatsumaki gets offended by him making a broccoli that looks like her hair, I will be pissed. For about 2 seconds, because I doubt they could have a more out-of-character reason to fight than 1 minute melee did. Mob's biggest advantage is his ability to absorb psychic energy. Now, in 100% form, this wouldn't mean much. He was barely able to survive absorbing Torishiro's energy without dying, and he is way weaker than Tatsumaki. But in his triple question mark percentage, that's a different matter. I'm 100% sure that he would be able to overcome psychic binding by just absorbing the binding into his body. And a confused Tatsumaki probably wouldn't try to use psychic binding again. And as long as he doesn't try to absorb all of Tatsumaki's power at once, he would be able to last a really long time against her by feeding off of her psychic powers. Kinda like how Spawn absorbed power from Kratos by eating his sins, if you catch my rock. So what we have here is kind of a problem. Tatsumaki is orders of magnitude more powerful, Mob is likely more than 3 times faster, and Mob has the power to replenish his strength through Tatsumaki, but then she can also deflect any of his attacks back with ease using the whirlwind. So who do I think would win? I don't think I can make a call here. Okay, it's a bit of a cop-out. I legitimately think that this battle is very close and hard to call. Their powers perfectly counter each other, to the point where the battle comes down to whether Mob is fast enough to overpower English, Nemesis. To the point where it comes down to whether Mob is fast enough to take down Tatsumaki before her barriers come up, and if I'm being honest, I don't think he is. See, Tatsumaki almost all the time has a passive barrier, and it is very unlikely for the battle to start without her having a shield up. I know I said he could go through, but I did a bit of extra research after I wrote that, and it turns out she does have a passive barrier almost all the time. So if I had to say, I'd probably go with Tatsumaki, if only because her sheer power output would allow her to instantly crush Mob if he isn't careful. However, I think it's more likely the death battle is going to make Mob win. Let's keep in mind how death battle works. It is highly likely that Mob will almost immediately hop into 100% rage or anger or something like that, both because he'll be absorbing the emotions of Tatsumaki, who is a gigantic alpha bitch, and that's what makes her best girl, and also because his moral code and his pacifism just gone. Because of the rules, he will have none of that. He will be full-on kill this bitch mode. I mean, they had Aang kill someone and show no remorse.
It's not a spoiler if it's obvious.
Mob's gonna be fucking gunning for Tatsumaki this whole fight. I think the important thing though is that Death Battle will likely values Mob's Esper power absorbing strength enough to say that that would give him the win. So even though I think Mob wouldn't be able to take all of Tatsumaki's power, they might say he can and give him the win. That, and if we're being honest, what would the cooler ending be? Mob getting creamed, or Mob getting creamed and then turning triple question mark and obliterating Tatsumaki? I mean, 1 Minute Melee knew how cool an ending like that would be, and Death Battle probably do too, so unknown percent, here we go. But do tell me, who do you think would win? If I was forced to choose, I would say Tatsumaki, but I'm a lot more comfortable sitting in the ambiguity chair. When one said it's too close to call, I do agree with him. Just please don't be a cunt-sucking anal excavator about it. Tell me your opinion with some human decency, and avoid insulting me, and especially avoid insulting other people who might disagree with you. I recently had someone tell me my Gandalf vs. Dracula prediction was shit, as if I would give a damn. I mean, I get it if you were talking about my Sasuke vs. Hiei prediction. I was very lazy with that one, but come on. It's just a prediction that will be seen by, 1,000 people? 2,000 tops? But still, I hope you enjoyed me talking about 2 characters I actually really like. I'll be honest, Mob Psycho 100 and One Punch Man are both of my top 10 anime. There are some that I prefer for either personal reasons or because it's Fate Zero, but I do love these shows, and I really love Mob and Tatsumaki. I was actually in a bit of a rut because I wanted to go back to My Hero Academia with Season 4 coming out, but I've been watching these anime where the main character is so interesting and likable. Like, I rewatched One Punch Man, I rewatched Mob Psycho. Well, actually, that was a while ago, but a while ago, Mob Psycho. I watched Samurai Flamenco, and I really like the main character of that. The Monogatari series I've been watching. A lot of shows where the main character is one of, if not the most interesting. And Hiro Aka, Midoriya's pretty boring. I like Midoriya, okay, but he's not the most interesting character. And I prefer Bakugo over him. Bakugo, best girl represent, right?